Well, hello, it's Mr. Dale here again. And today's tutorial, we're going to look at OpenOffice quickly, a few more functions, and we're also going to look at some ways of troubleshooting so that if we encounter a problem, we can look for ways to fix it. All right, so I'm going to open my database, and presently I don't have any tables in it, and I don't have any forms either. Okay. But before I really begin a database, I need to know what fields are expected of me. So I got this little spreadsheet here, drag it down. And it says here employee ID, last name, and as I read this information, I'm already making a mental note of what type of field I will put in each of these. So employee ID, that will be my primary key. Last name will obviously be text varchar. First name, text varchar. Phone number, integer or maybe a numeric value. Date, looks like the date has to be in the day, month, year format, so I want to remember that when I enter my information. Time, that I entered the information into the form. And is the employee retired, yes or no? So that's what I need to have in my OpenOffice database. So I'll close this for a minute, and I'm going to go into my tables, and I will create a table in Design View. And the first field I want to make the employee ID, and that will also be my primary key. So don't wait till the end to do it right away, or it may get forgotten and then it's not going to work for you. Change it to integer, auto value set to yes. I now have my primary key. I can move on to my second field, which will be last name. Remember, that key will tell me that I have created a primary key. Once I see that key, I can continue. Last name will be text varchar, first name. And let's consult our list again. It says last name, first name, phone number. Let's put in phone number. Okay, and I'm going to change that to integer for a minute. And just look down here. It says the length of the integer can be only 10. So I'm going to try and change that to 15. And OpenOffice is not allowing me to make a change to the length of the phone number, which may present a problem since many phone numbers today now are longer than 10 digits. So I want to be a problem solver. I want to do some troubleshooting. I'm going to actually change it now to number, a numeric value. Will it allow me to change it now? Yes, it will. I'm going to change it to 15 in case we have an area code or a country code that will give us plenty of digits to work with. All right. Okay, next thing that we need to have is the date. So I'm going to type in date. And there is an option here for date, so I want to use it, date. Time that we entered the data into our data field. Use time field for that. And retired. Yes or no. Retired, yes or no. And I click over here. I do have an option for a Boolean, yes, no Boolean. So I'm going to try and use that for our database. All right, the next thing I want to do is I want to click all of these to entry required. I'm not going to do anything with the employee ID, but starting with last name, I'm going to enter all of those that an entry is required. So I'm going to click on all of these and make them yes. That's important so that when whoever fills out the form gets to that field, it will force them to enter some data before they can move on. So they can't leave blank fields in the data. Okay? So I've got everything done. Looks really well done. I'm going to save it, table, employee data. And I'll close my table. I'll save the changes. Okay, here's our table that we created. Let's just double click on it. And there it is. Last name, first name, phone number, date. Everything looks good, but it's much easier to enter our data into a form. So I'm going to close it. And I'm going to go to Forms and we'll create a form. Remember, we're going to create our forms in Wizard. So I'm going to double click on that so we can create our form. And it's asking here what fields I would like to put into the form. I can easily click on individual ones and put them over. But obviously, I would like to have all of my fields in the form. So I'm just going to click on the double arrow, bring them all over, and click Next. Subform we will not be using today. And I like this one, so I want all of you to be using this format when we do our forms. Okay, the other ones are a little bit more complicated. But we'll use this one for our work. Click Next. We want all data to be displayed, so I'm going to click Next again. Here you can make a choice, okay? I kind of like this violet color. There's many colors you can choose from. The 3D look is also a really nice look, so you can use it as well. I'm just going to click Next. I will change the name from table to form, FRM, okay? So we'll change it from form to, or from table to form, and we'll click Finish. Okay, our form is actually open for entering data, but I would like to make some changes because right away I noticed that this field is probably too small for a phone number. I want to make sure that this form is in the day, month, year format, and I also want to make sure that the time format looks right. Presently, I don't have any options for design view, so I'm going to close my form. I'll right click on my form and I'll open it in edit view. All right, the first thing I want to do is just make sure that this field is long enough to enter data. So I'm going to hold the command key and click on that box. Then I can pull it over and make it a little bit bigger. That looks big enough for a phone number. I'm going to hold the command key and click on this box as well. I'll pull him over. And I'm maybe going to make this box a little bit bigger by holding, again, the command key, click on the box, and pull him over. Make it a little bit smaller. Okay, let's see here. Remember we wanted the date format to be day, month, year. I'm going to hold the command key and click on the box. Then I'm going to right click on the box and I got this control option here. I click on that and that will bring up a nice dialog box with many options for us. Really, we're only concerned with making sure that we have day, month, year format. So I'm just going to scroll down here. And it'll give us an option for the format. All right, there's a couple different formats, but I wanted day, month, years. So I'm going to be choosing this one, day, month, year. All right, and then there's another one down here. It says spin button. Well, let's click yes and see what that gives us. You see over here these little buttons. The spin button will give us an option for the user to manually, using these buttons, enter the data, okay? They can scroll up or scroll down. It's kind of a neat little thing to put in there, so I'll add that as well. Okay, that's about the extent of all we're doing in the box. There is an option to change the field type from data to another, but that would not make sense to do. And other functions over here about the mouse and what you can do when you put the mouse in the box. But that's more advanced things that we're not going to worry about. Okay, so I'll close that dialog box, and I'm going to do the same thing here in time. I'm going to click on time. Remember, hold command, click, and then right click, and that'll bring us our control box. Same thing here. I would like to give it a spin button to make easier entry for the user. So I'm going to come down here. I want to make sure I'm on my general tab before I do that. You can have a time minimum or maximum. We're not going to worry about that. This is the format I like. Okay, you can actually change it if you want to a PM and AM type of format, but I like the 24-hour format, so I'm going to leave it 24. If you're doing it, you choose whatever you think is best. All right, and I'm just going to click yes here for our spin button. That'll give us our spin button. I'll close that dialog box. And it looks like we're done. I got my employee ID, okay. Again, if I want to go from design view to user view, I can click on this little button here. And now I'm in user view, so I can enter data. Well, I'll just test it out. I'll click Dan, Dale. My phone number is 123 54321 and 654. That's my phone number. Date today. Let's see if it works. 11th month, 14. Let's see if that, well, 2014. All right. And it's not allowing us to enter it, okay? Remember we chose the format with the slashes. We're gonna have to use slashes for this. So that's part of troubleshooting, okay? 20, 11, and 14. Let's see what that gives us. And there, OpenOffice understands that we wanted to use slashes because we checked that when we were in the format. That's part of troubleshooting. If you see that it's not working, take a look at how you entered it. Maybe it wasn't the way OpenOffice wanted it entered, okay? So let's put the cursor here in the year, and if I use my spin button, yeah, it'll go up a year or down a year, so that's working. Time is, I don't know, let's invent 12:45. Click outside the box, put the cursor there, 12:46, spin buttons are working. Yes, I am retired. And to go to the next employee, I would simply click on this button here. Okay, and that'll give me a fresh form. I can enter another employee data. Okay, once I'm done and I've entered all the data I want, I'm going to save my form and close my form. And let's go back to tables to see if my information was entered. And it was entered properly. Close my table, save my database, and we are done. All right, guys, let's have a great day today and work hard and try and integrate some of these new concepts into our database. Thank you. All right, guys, Mr. Dale again. And today we're going to be working on our formative assessment. And we're going to take a quick look at the formative assessment rubric to make sure we understand how we get our grade. And it will be the same rubric we use for our summative. So let's understand it well for the formative so that we understand it for our summative as well. Okay, thank you. Well, let's take a look at the rubric that we'll be using for the formative. And you're going to be graded on two different standards for this project, both for the formative and the summative. The rubric will not change, so let's understand the rubric well now. All right, you're going to be getting a grade for two different standards. The first standard being critical thinking and problem solving. That includes some troubleshooting. If you run into a problem, look for an answer. All right, don't call me over right away. You're getting pretty good at computers, so I'm sure that you can find an answer. The second standard is creativity and innovation. That really means, are you doing a good job in your database? Are you making it nice, easy to use for the user? Applying old knowledge to new knowledge? That's all part of creativity and innovation. All right, so there's really 4 levels of proficiency in our rubric, beginning with no evidence, and then moving into limited evidence. That means that you're showing some level of work, but it's lacking in quality and quantity. And then we move into emerging. Okay, let's read this carefully. Students didn't know to apply past knowledge to new problems. Okay, that's a huge part. A lot of the icons, a lot of the functions are very similar in Excel, Word. Did you apply old knowledge to new knowledge? If you're asking me for a lot of help, you're not going to score into a 3, but probably into a 2. All right? I don't mind asking questions. This is a formative. That's what it's for. It's to show me where we need to go. So in a formative, if you're asking questions, by all means, we want to work together, okay? And then finally, student really did not attempt to do any problem solving or troubleshooting. This is a really big one. I'm really going to be looking for this one. Make sure that you guys are trying to find an answer by yourself. Creativity and innovation, teacher involvement was heavily needed. Very slow at completing the work. That means basically you didn't know what you wanted to do, and that's why it took you a long time to get it done. Okay, so that really shows an emerging level of proficiency. Then we move into a 3, and we're all supposed to be shooting for a 3. Very little teacher guidance was needed. Great attempt at problem solving using troubleshooting techniques. Maybe look for a different way of doing it. Really didn't want to ask for help. Kind of a last resort. Hey, Mr. Dale, just give me a hand. I've been really looking. No problem. We'll work together, especially in the formative part. And the student could see the big picture. That means the student said, hey, I know the program can do this. How do we get it done? That's really an important part of troubleshooting and critical thinking. On the creativity and innovation side, very little teacher guidance was needed. The class period was all the student really needed to get the project done. And the student demonstrated a proficient level of mastery in OpenOffice and database. Now, number 4, if we can get to a number 4, that means that you have not only achieved what you're supposed to do, but you applied new knowledge in new areas. You took your knowledge to a new level. So number 4 means that you've applied the knowledge at a level that is beyond just simply a proficient level. So you use past knowledge with new problems. You really looked for an answer. Creativity side, no teacher guidance needed. Finished product in one class. And it was a mastery level work, all right? So students who get to a 4 have just demonstrated a real ability in both critical thinking and in creativity. And that's what we really should be shooting for. But a 3 means you're proficient. There's no problem at all getting a 3, all right? So that's a look at our rubric, and let's get back to work today.